Today, we're going to be taking a look at some of the most brain-dead, terminally online takes that I've seen in a while, and there's no real way for me to ease you guys into this wacky situation, so getting right into it, the creator Danny Gonzalez has been under a bit of fire and at a risk of being cancelled, whatever that means nowadays, for drinking a Starbucks coffee. Yup, drinking a Starbucks coffee is enough to get you cancelled nowadays. I bet you guys were clicking on this video thinking, oh, someone else cancelled, what did he do now? He probably talked to a minor. Nope, he got caught drinking Starbucks. But now that we got the wacky main point out of the way, we could take a quick step back and take a look at who Danny Gonzalez is. Because if you're anything like me, this is your first time hearing of the creator, Danny Gonzalez, and I'm actually kind of surprised that I didn't know about who this was, because he's apparently a pretty big commentary slash variety creator, and he has over 6 million subscribers. But now that we know who he is and what type of content he makes, this whole drama comes from his most recent video recreating insane dad talks. And before I even move on with this, I'm gonna go ahead and put up on the screen the moment that he committed the sin ever so you guys can see how bad of a person he is. Yup, you might think that I'm fucking with you right now or something, but that's genuinely what people are mad about. And the reason I put it on the screen in the form of a screenshot is, one, because it just wasn't in the video for that long, and two, I'm kinda a little bit lazy and I didn't feel like downloading a 30-minute video and sifting through it to find the grand whopping total of 20 seconds that the cup was in the background. But it looks like the reason that they're attempting to cancel him for having Starbucks in the background is because apparently Starbucks supports the Palestine war or whatever's going on over there. Sorry that I'm not really informed on that, but I'm not into politics whatsoever, but it seems like that's the reason that they're trying to cancel him. And also, after hearing that, you'd think that to be able to cancel him for something like that, you'd assume that the entire video was sponsored by Starbucks, everything he does is revolving around Starbucks. He's literally pointing the cup up to the screen. Guys, I hecking love buying Starbucks from a company that supports wars and killing people. That's not what he did at all. The cup was just in the background, and for one scene, he used it to prop his phone up on because that was probably just the closest thing. It's not like he was specifically using it to signal some sort of political belief or something. And that's really one of the, I'm saying one of the, they only have a few. That's one of the several problems with these terminally online people. They think every action that every person does always has some sort of ulterior motive or extra driving factor behind it. This guy bought the damn Starbucks coffee because he probably just needed some coffee for energy, and he probably likes how Starbucks tastes. Which I don't know if I could agree with that last part too much. I've never had Starbucks coffee, but at least from what I've seen, Starbucks coffee doesn't even really look like coffee most of the time. I've also seen how they make most of them. They put a singular ounce of coffee and then just everything else. Milks, creamers, foams, chocolates, just everything else. But I don't know, to each his own. But Starbucks' coffee being potentially bad aside and moving back to the main point, these people are trying to promote the idea that they're fighting for some sort of boycott on Starbucks or whatever, and it's just not gonna work. No matter how hard they try, boycotts are insanely hard to pull off, and the way that they're going about it just will never work. And that's actually one of the other problems with these terminally online, I guess you call them activists. They never actually do anything to support a cause whatsoever. The most that they'll do is attack random people on the internet for the choices that they make as if they're some sort of saint themselves. They'll go attack creators for drinking Starbucks while they're probably still drinking Starbucks themselves. It's just that no one would know that because their entire life isn't recorded. They're literally just sitting in their fucking dungeon of a bedroom and typing with their greasy ass fingers with their fucking large grande frappe fucking cream drizzle in their hand. Which brings up the other great point that, like I said, these people just act like they're so fucking perfect and they just only promote positivity and they only do the right things. Okay, Mr. I love boycotting Starbucks. Let's say that you don't drink Starbucks. Okay, that's fine. You're not apparently supporting a war, which that wouldn't support the war whatsoever. This guy buying coffee isn't supporting a war. But let's say that you aren't buying Starbucks and not supporting the war. What I can bet almost all of my money on is that you're typing this wacky-ass brain-dead take on a modern smartphone, most likely made by Apple or Samsung. Do you think that those were ethically sourced? Yeah, you think you're doing such a good job now? By the same stretch of the imagination, that means that everyone commenting that also supports slave and child labor, not to mention insanely hazardous and unsafe working conditions, because not only do they need to make the phone in whatever factory they make them in, they also need to gather the materials for it, including lithium, which they're known for using child labor to obtain. And that's just mainly talking about your phone and electronics. The shoes on your feet, where do you think they were made? It was probably some poor Chinese kid in a sweatshop. But of course, these people don't think that far whatsoever. And this also isn't to say that I'm saying that you have to be either all or nothing when you're supporting things. What I am saying though is that you can't talk trash about what someone else is and isn't doing when you're not perfect yourself. Like, sure, you can want someone to support whatever boycott you're supporting, but you can't act like they're some sort of garbage person because they don't support it, while you're also doing negative things yourself. And like I say in almost every video ever, of course things get worse. You'd think after a situation like this, he would just ignore the comments and continue on about his life because they're clearly brain dead, but nope, he decided that he would make an apology. Now, before I even start tearing into him, I will give him credit where it is due. At least he didn't make an apology video. His apology is in the form of a community post and he turned the comments off. A lot of people are also calling him like some sort of spineless loser for coming out and apologizing for this, and while I do agree with that for the most part, I also want to point out that I think he recently just had a kid, so he might have just not wanted the extra drama and he was just thinking like, oh, fuck it, I'll just give them what they want so I don't even have to deal with this because I already have to deal with taking care of a newborn child. But with that out of the way, let's take a look at his apology. Also, like I said a second ago, it is a community post, so I'm going to be reading that off, but it says, I am seeing some comments about the Starbucks cup in my new video, and I just wanted to apologize for my ignorance on the boycott. As someone who thinks the ethnic cleansing happening in Palestine is horrible, I should definitely do better to stay informed, and truth be told, during this time in my life, I have been spending as little time on social media and news outlets as possible, so there's a lot I don't see. So this part right here is really just more reason for him to not apologize. Like I said before, I'm pretty sure he just had a kid recently, so it looks like he's saying that he hasn't been on social media basically at all because of the kid. So how the fuck would he even know what's going on? And some people might be like, oh well, how do you not know what's going on in Palestine? It's such big news. He just said it right there. If you're not constantly online, there's no way to know. And even if you are on the internet, there's still a decent chance that you wouldn't know about the stuff going on if you aren't in some sort of like political niche. Really, the only reason I knew at least somewhat of what's going on is because I'm subscribed to like a ton of commentary channels. And even with that, I didn't know people were allegedly boycotting Starbucks. I just knew about the war going on. And speaking of Starbucks again, I'm just still on the idea that if all I have to do to piss these people off is drink Starbucks, I might actually just go ahead and fucking try it. But getting back to his apology, I totally understand that seeing the Starbucks cup can look like I'm picking the side of this corporation that has been standing in the way of the people standing up for Palestine, which at least for any reasonable person ever, it just doesn't look that way at all. Nobody with even a percentage of a brain will look at you having a Starbucks cup and be like, oh, yep, that guy supports genocide and whatever else the oppressor is doing here. Like they're acting like him buying this coffee is directly purchasing missiles that are going to be used to strike people down. I will do better in the future, gang. I'm sorry. There are a lot of great places you can go to learn and support the people of Palestine right now, but special shout out to the Creators for Palestine run by a bunch of creators I'm friends with, and then he links to some sort of site where I guess you could donate to support the cause or whatever. And the ironic part about that is, out of all the people that are complaining about him drinking Starbucks, not a singular one of them is gonna go to this site and even donate a penny. Because when it comes down to it, all these terminally online fake activists do is, I guess you would call it virtue signaling. But after this apology, like I said, he had comments turned off so no one could respond to it, and I can't really give him negative points for that. He probably just wanted to save himself the headache, but people did still leave comments. Instead of putting it on the community post, which they couldn't, they just put it on his latest video. And there's a decent mix of them as well. There's still a ton of brain dead people in there, and there's also, I guess, what seems like his actual fans just being like, bro, why did you even do that? You didn't have to apologize at all. But since it'll of course be more fun, let's just start with the brain dead ones, and this one right here here says, that apology, when literally people and children are dying because of what you are doing. Like, this guy right here, it sounds like he knows something that everyone else doesn't. He's so certain that this guy is the cause for all of the problems that I'm almost convinced that he didn't stop at Starbucks. I'm almost convinced that he's out there on the battlefield himself taking them out. Like, this guy is 100% certain that Danny had something to do with the evil going on. But let's go ahead and finish up reading it. I am not unsubbing, but I am waiting 1 week after each upload to know which videos advocate for genocide. Your channel needs to take a stand and advocate for the right cause. Donate all revenue and remove this video. You're responsible for so much violence and this is irresponsible. Do better. And now, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I almost had a stroke reading that. This guy is acting like Danny himself is in charge of sending the fucking missiles or something. All he did was bought a coffee. And then this guy's talking about donate all of your revenue. What is even going on here at this point? And you know what? How big this guy is talking. If he can prove that he's donated over $1,000 to this cause, then I'm willing to eat my words and say, oh, yep, you have a valid point here. But I am almost 100% certain that this guy has never even donated a penny. And then he has the nerve to come to this guy's video that literally was just drinking a coffee and tell him to donate all of the revenue that he's made from this video that who knows how long it took to make to a cause that Danny didn't even know about, nor has he played some sort of negative role in it. But moving to the next comment, the Starbucks cup was really a shock. I am happy to see that Danny has apologized and is even joining the Palestine charity that other creators have done. No one is perfect in a boycott. We can only try our best. I'm not a saint and I wouldn't claim to be one. I'm just glad Danny did the right thing. And you know what? As bad as these takes are, at least this person has a bit of self-awareness. But other than that, it's still just bad. If the biggest problem in your life is you being worried about what coffee other people are drinking, then you probably just have a privileged life and you probably don't have much issues going on. But braindead comments aside, it looks like a lot of his actual viewers, like I said, just weren't that happy about him making this apology. Oh my god, Starbucks cup, no, is what I'd say if I was retarded. Bro, your newest channel update is embarrassing. On your hands and knees begging not to be cancelled for drinking a coffee. Just ignore the weirdo chronically online people and do your shit. And this one right here, I heavily agree with. Like I said before, I can somewhat understand his reason for making an apology so he could maybe try to avoid a bit of the drama, especially since he has to take care of a child now. But the guy in this comment also gives a great point of if you just ignore it, there's a high chance that it'll go away. Because it's not like the majority of people in his comments were just pushing this idea that he's a fucking asshole for drinking coffee. Like he said, these are really just the chronically online losers, and if you don't give them the attention they want, that's really all they have going for them. If they don't get that, then they'll just fuck off and go somewhere else. And that's really a great point to wrap the video up on. I think both sides could have just handled this. I'm saying both sides like there is the other side. The chronically online people, they couldn't have handled this better because they are retarded. But Danny isn't, and him making this apology probably really just made everything worse than making it better, because all it did was bring it into the light more. And when it comes down to it, I don't really think he's going to be changing anything anyway, even after the apology. Because if you're someone that does enjoy coffee, once you start drinking a certain type and liking that specific type, it might be a little hard to switch to something new because everything else just doesn't taste the same. So high chance he's still just going to be drinking Starbucks, just not on video. And if it is in a video, he'll make sure to put it somewhere else where the camera can't see it. But with that said, that's pretty much it on one of the wackiest cancellation attempts ever. And if you made it this far in the video, you probably liked something, so you may as well leave a like and maybe even subscribe, especially if you want a creator that will not give in to brain dead commenters. But I'm not gonna hold y'all for too long. I'll catch you guys in the next one.